First of all, remember we mentioned that we were learning to use our visualization and imagination. Now, we can, and we have, of course, learned to use the left brain hemisphere. We have learned to practice. We have been using visualization and imagination, but with the left brain hemisphere. Now, our goal is to develop the same faculties, but with the right brain hemisphere. So in order to do this, we need to do everything we've done before, but with our eyes closed, to be looking for that inner dimension that we call the subconscious. And once we get there, to function within the subconscious consciously. So the idea would be, first, to learn that we need to keep our eyes closed. We have mentioned that why eyes closed? Because focusing on the sense of sight requires your brain to be functioning at 20 vibrations per second. Remember that we mentioned that your brain vibrates like your heart beats, but your heart beats so many times per minute, your brain vibrates so many times per second. So we need to know that at 20 vibrations, you're connected to the left brain hemisphere, and we must get away from that connection. So in order to do so, we need to first close our eyes, because focusing requires that the brain function on 20 vibrations. So we need to first know that we need to close our eyes to get away from focusing, to get away from getting stuck on 20 vibrations brain activity. Then we need to know what else interferes with our awareness. What interferes is the mental activity, overactive mind, we say. Well, we need to relax the mind then. We need to find and to learn what mental exercises relaxes the mind. Well, what else interferes with the slowing down of brain waves? Body physical activity. Then we need to learn how to pacify, how to get our body to relax also. So we need mental relaxation and we need body relaxation. So there are special exercises that we practice, as you know, to be able to slow down brain activity by preventing the mind from interfering and by preventing the body from interfering. Once we have pacified our mind and our body to a certain level, and we know how many hours of mind and body training relaxation exercises are required to be able to pacify, slow down our brain activity to 10 cycles, which is the connection to the right brain hemisphere. Now, once we have found that dimension, once we have practiced mental gymnastics, sometimes we call them mental training exercises, to pacify our mind, pacify our body, relax it, find the 10-cycle connection to the right brain hemisphere, and this is what used to be called the subconscious. Subconscious means a dimension below the threshold of consciousness, meaning you cannot be conscious at the subconscious. That's the old theory. But once we learn to slow down our awareness into this dimension, we are now functioning consciously within the subconscious. So we are training people, helping them to learn to function consciously in the subconscious. But it's contradictory to say it like so. It's either one or the other. Either functioning consciously or you're not functioning consciously. That would be the subconscious. So instead of calling it the subconscious, we call it inner conscious levels, the right brain hemisphere, and outer conscious levels, the left brain hemisphere. Well, when we talk about the beta frequencies, we talk about a name given to the highest brain activity of the normal functioning human brain. Scientists have called it, or they labeled it, a brain, for instance, the lowest, delta, next to the lowest, theta, a little higher, alpha, and then the highest, beta. These names, of course, scientists selected Greek words, but the Greek alphabet, but it's not in the proper order. It's in the order of discovery, meaning what frequency was discovered first, what vibration of the brain was discovered first, the strongest one. Why? Because at the time, the electronic equipment used to measure brain waves was very crude, not sophisticated enough, not sensitive enough. Electronics became improved, and they started detecting other brain activity also. So the names were given to the brain frequencies discovered at the time of discovery and in the order of discovery, not in the order of the Greek alphabet, really. But they still used the Greek alphabet to label them in the order of discovery. Well, now, when we started to investigate the human brain, using the electroencephalograph, the equipment that is used to detect brain activity is electronic equipment. Electrodes placed on your skull, and your brain puts out a vibration, emanations, and this can be detected and measured. Well, when we started to research here, we found that the brain preferred to function more than at any other frequency on 5, 10, and 20 vibrations per second. You see, we measure these vibrations per second like radio does, like television does. But radio measures them in thousands of, or they call it kilocycles. And in television, millions of, or they call it megacycles. So we are using basic units of measurement, cycles per second. So then, I found that the brain preferred to function more than 5, 10, and 20. My question was, if this is so, could we say that one is better than the other? Talking about electronics, and that's my field. My field is electronics. I started in electronics when I was 14 years of age. I started to figure, is the brain functioning something like an electronic circuit that maybe a resonant point could be found where maximum oscillating currents take place, minimal losses, most efficient circuits, high oscillating currents, where the opposition or total impedance is equals to 0. I mean, we start thinking about this. Is there such a thing in the human brain? So I started to investigate, how can I find out which is the best of the three, if I could say that? And I found that the 20-cycle vibration was the most desynchronized, meaning least orderly, least synchronized of the three, and the weakest one. And I found that the 10-cycle frequency was the strongest of the three, the strongest, the most stable frequency, which is where we have the connection to the right brain hemisphere. Then looking into this, I noticed that 90%, 9 out of 10 human beings were using the 20-cycle vibration connected to the left brain hemisphere to function on, to do their thinking with. And I found that only 10% of humanity were using the 10-cycle vibration to think and the 20-cycle vibration to act. Meaning, those that function normally, we say now, the best way to go is to think on 10 and to act on 20. It's as though the left brain hemisphere that reigns in the physical world, the visible world of the body, we should function on 20 for acting. But to think with, we should think with the right brain hemisphere. The right brain hemisphere reigns in the invisible world of the mind. There's no limit to what the mind can do here. The idea is to be able to grasp information or grasp whatever we can in this dimension and bring it over, transfer it to the other dimension, like saying, transfer what you can do with the right brain hemisphere and do it with the left one, which means materializing your thoughts. So this is when we come and say, everything that has been materialized, everything that a person does, is best for that person to do it first in the world of the mind before it can be materialized. And now we know that everything that has become materialized had to first take place in this dimension, the world of the mind, the right brain hemisphere. That's how important it is. So then, the idea there would be that once we found that the 10-cycle center of the brain frequency spectrum, you see, the overall average of human beings' brain activity is 20 vibrations per second. So we say that the center is 10. Now, people who use this center to think on, of course, we call them centered people. And the ones who use the 20 vibrations, we call them off-centered or eccentrics. So we say 90% of humanity are eccentric in their way of thinking, and only 10% of humanity are centered in their way of thinking. So an eccentric is using only the left brain hemisphere to think with. They don't use the right one at all, because for them it's the subconscious. Meaning is below the threshold of consciousness. They're not able to be conscious or to function consciously in that dimension. This is our job now, to be able to help people to use both brain hemispheres to think with. Because if God gave us two brain hemispheres, God gave us brain hemispheres to use them in our way of life, you see. Why use only one, the left one? And this is where we stand right now, helping people to find that dimension, the centered part of the brain frequency spectrum, the center of the alpha 10 cycle dimension, and to help them learn how to use it. So first of all, we need to know, how do we get there? And we say we get there by defocusing, meaning close your eyes, because focusing keeps you on 20. We don't want to stay on 20, we want to go to 10 or lower frequency. Then pacify your mind, relax it, pacify your body, learn to relax it with special mind training exercises that the student goes through until we find that center. Once we find the center, we want to lock it in. And this is where we start coming in how to do that. Once you learn how to function at 10 cycles, you want to, when we say thinking at 10 cycles, thinking with your right brain hemisphere, you need to think to analyze problems. This is the main use of mind, only to analyze problems. What can we do so we can do it better? This is thinking. So we want to think where there's more information, where it's easier and stronger to think with the right brain hemisphere. And then once we figure out what we are supposed to do, then we switch over and use the left brain hemisphere and materialize whatever we're doing and act on it. So the right brain hemisphere is to think on or with, and the left one is to act on or with. Some are capable of learning to get there sooner or faster. We find that the child is easier to get in there because usually they're functioning in those frequencies to begin with. They're not so set yet as old people are. And we find that depends on the size of the group that you're teaching. Maybe it's 100 people, maybe it's only 20 people. Well, when you're teaching a group of 100, you need more time because of more questions, satisfy their questions, answer them, and to give more time to take breaks and so forth, to go have drink of water, go to restrooms or whatever. 20 won't take as long. So if you have big classes, it would take no more than 48 hours class time. You take smaller classes, maybe it take 30 to 36 hours. 30 to 36 hours class time, depending on the size of group you're teaching. A person, if they only knew what advantages there are using both brain hemispheres as compared to using only one, they wouldn't let one more single day go by without this training. You see, mind is a common denominator. You improve the functioning of the human mind, you improve mankind in general. Mind is a common denominator. You see it in everything. In family relations, in health, in education, in business, in religion. Mind is first, and everything else comes later. Now, the next thing to do, once we find the dimension, then we need to get the student to become familiar with this dimension. But in order for the person to become familiar, we need to go over what the person already knows, what the person has experienced, so he will not jump into something new altogether. And what do we do here? We want to first get them to use their mind, meaning their human intelligence, at this dimension, at the 10 cycle frequency, and go over what the person has learned and experienced. What does the person have in mind as experiences? Well, what do you do more per day? That is, you know how to dress yourself, you live in a certain home, you've seen this home so many times, you know your bedroom, you know your living room, you know your kitchen at home. Well, depends how long you've lived in this particular place. So let's go over and review what you have learned, what you have accumulated in your brain as information. What experiences do you have that we want to go over But now we want to go over, not with the left brain hemisphere, but now with the right one, because you are now at 10 cycles per second, brain activity. So we'll say, okay, now, let's call it mental projection. Now, mentally project to stand in front of your home, for instance, and look at your house. You've seen it so many times. Give them time to do that. Look at the roof. Remember the roof? What type of roof do you have? Windows? Are they painted different colors? What colors are your windows, if so? Come down on from top to bottom, like reading a book, from left to right, and go over everything it attracts your attention, and describe it mentally. You've seen it before. You're recalling what experiences you have. Now do this as much. We go over with the student, give him enough time to look at these different parts of his house and to pick on colors. Make sure you detect colors. What color is your roof? What color are the windows? What color is your house? What color are the leaves of the tree if you have a tree in front of your house, and so on. Colors, colors, colors. Always want to bring in colors. This is the spectrum at this dimension. So then we say, okay, you walk towards the door. You walked towards the door before? So many times. It's strongly impressed in your brain. You have no trouble in recalling what you have seen before, because it's like remembering. Remembering is visualizing. Remembering what you have seen is visualizing. You're already practicing visualization with the use of the right brain hemisphere. You've done it, but you did it before with the left one. You're not getting too many things done with the left one. We want to do more things with the right one also, in addition to the left one. So now you have learned to use the left one. We're teaching you to use the right one now. So let's go and make a copy of everything you've seen, all your experiences, and transfer them consciously to your right brain hemisphere now, consciously. So now, you walk in towards your door. Remember what kind of a door handle do you have? Is it round? I mean, you know what it is. You've seen it before. You've touched it so many times. Feel as though you're touching it again. You're opening the door, the front door, to enter your home. You're using your key, maybe, if you have a key, and you want to unlock the door. You've done it so many times. Go over it mentally. This is mental projection through visualization. Learning to use the right brain hemisphere. Person has done this so many times, but using the left one. Want to transfer all that information to the right to get started in learning to use the right brain hemisphere. Once he gets inside the house, close the door behind you. Now stand in the center of your living room, let's suppose. We want you to face the south wall. You know which is south, mentally. Even now, doesn't matter where your body is facing, north or east or west, but mentally we want you to face south. Now concentrate on the south wall in your living room. You can do that. You've been here before. You've been here in your living room where the lights are turned off at night. You've been here when the lights are turned on at night. You've been here when no lights are on or off, but during the daytime. You know what kind of light enters what window and what you have in front of you, what furniture is to your left, what furniture is to your right. Remember this. What furniture is in back of you. We want to establish all information that has previously been recorded and impressed, experienced with the left brain hemisphere. Now we want to transfer it to the right one at 10 cycles. Now this is the very beginning. Remember, this is important. Remember what you have heard, or remember what you have tasted or touched is not visualizing. Only remembering what you have seen is visualizing. The two major senses of the right brain hemisphere is visualization and imagination. The body would say, well, we have these so-called 5 physical senses. Of course, we know there's more than that, but we always go by the 5 physical senses. That's the left brain hemisphere. But the right one has 2 major ones, visualization and imagination. We started using that master sense by transferring information that we have impressed with the physical senses on the left brain hemisphere, now transferring this information to the right brain hemisphere, but at a certain brain frequency, which is 10 cycles. A point of reference means an experience, you see. You have established points of reference with your physical senses using the left brain hemisphere. But now you want to transfer those points of reference to the right brain hemisphere. So by going over what you have experienced, what has been already impressed on the left brain hemisphere, is transferring those points of reference to the right one. We find that 10% of humanity have learned to use this dimension naturally, automatically. We don't know how that came about. Maybe there was a need for a person to function specially because of environmental conditions that obligated or forced a person to use his mind in this manner when the brain frequency of that child was approximately between 7 and 14, or mainly 10. And that means at age 10, his brain frequency is approximately, the overall average is 10. More 10s than any other thing. So if he was forced to function in a special way, to use his mind, when he was 10 years of age, most likely he impressed points of reference on the right brain hemisphere.
Develop more confidence, charisma, personal power, and influence with the techniques in Silva Ultramind's Persuasive Thoughts book at booksellers worldwide in audio, ebook, and print editions.